When DeMar DeRozan left San Antonio last season, there were a couple of players of interest to me because with DeMar leaving, there was obviously going to be an increased offensive load for one younger player or even a couple of younger players. And to start the season, Kelton Johnson looked like maybe he was going to be the guy because he came out the blocks hot, averaged 20 points a game over the first 3 games. And I still believe he's going to have a good season, but he might not have that breakout MIP kind of candidate season just yet. It's only 6 games, who knows? But a player that I'm a little bit more confident in, should I say, we don't know, but Dejante Murray looks like a player that might take that DeMar DeRozan load that is left and really flourish, because so far to start the season, he has looked like a better player than he did last season, and I'm confident in him continuing to get better is because the last 3 seasons, not 1, not 2, but 3 seasons, he's gotten better, and now heading into a 4th consecutive season of hopefully getting better, it looks like he might have finally started to break through as a potential star player. That's what I'm going to say. Now, before I go any further, I don't think anyone else is making Spurs content or Dejante Murray content, so if you could drop a like on the video, I don't know how well this video will perform, but hopefully you want to see more of this kind of content. Drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you are new, that would be much appreciated. But let's just talk about Dejante, because to start the season, his scoring doesn't jump out to you. He's not averaging more threes or a crazy high percentage or averaging 25 points a game. No, that's where people often look for MIP candidates, but across the board, when you look at everything, he has improved. He's upped his scoring a little bit with more responsibility, but he's also upped his playmaking and his rebounding, and he's averaging damn near 18, 9, and 9. That's the kind of numbers you're getting. And just for some perspective, the only other player in the league averaging above 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists is Russell Westbrook. And even if you look back, it was Jokic and Westbrook last year, and then the year before, it was Luka Doncic. So it's pretty elite company when it comes to filling up the stat sheet and doing everything pretty well. That's what Dejante Murray has done to start the season, and I think it can continue because of what he's been able to do and in terms of his jump as a playmaker. Now, to go a little bit further, before I actually get into that playmaking, what is also more impressive than just the numbers is you look at Westbrook's stats, you look at Murray's stats, side to side, okay? They're pretty similar, but if you look at one major stat, there's one glaring difference, the turnovers. Yes, Westbrook is a little bit turnover prone. We're not here to trash him for that. We don't really care right now. We're talking about Dejante Murray. But Murray averaging 2.2 turnovers a game to nearly 9 assists is ridiculous. Now, for some more perspective, the only other 2 players averaging over 7 assists and less than 3 turnovers a game, Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul. Dejante Murray, Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul. In terms of that category for assist to turnover ratio, that is elite company to be in. So he's filling up the stat sheet, and he's also doing it while not just throwing the ball away willy-nilly, which is really impressive. His efficiency hasn't been amazing. As a scorer, he can improve on that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But in terms of his playmaking, it's been really impressive. And just looking at his playmaking in general, I think that's where the biggest jump has been taken so far. And that's where a lot of the load was left with DeMar, who was a really good playmaker for San Antonio in the last season he was there, the last couple of seasons he was there. It doesn't look like it's going to be a fluke. So far, he's averaging more passes per game. He's having the ball more of the game. He's running more pick and rolls with Jakob Poeltl, and they've got a really nice connection. He's someone with his length and his athleticism. He just seems to be able to get over the top of defenses. I know that's weird, but in the pick and roll, he's got that little snake dribble that he gets to his spot and then can feed over the top to Jakob Poeltl, or he can hit his mid-range shot. He's got enough of a mid-range and a 3-level threat that he can get that pass off most of the time, and it just looks like he's playing that at a higher usage rate. He's still doing what he's been able to do, but he's just increased the usage and looks more confident in that role with Jakob Poeltl. So that looks good. Also, in terms of a minor stat that I think is kind of nice to look at early in the season, potential assists. No, this isn't some crazy advanced stat. No, basically it's just looking at how many times is he creating opportunities for his teammates, in terms of sometimes early in the season, there can be a guy that might have a lot of assists that are a little bit inflated because he's just throwing to teammates that are making shots. Sometimes that happens, but so far Dejante Murray has a lot of potential assists and he's creating a lot of opportunities. He's increased his passing, he's increased his usage rate, he's increased his pick and roll, he's increased everything, which is why I think he's having a breakout season. Just had to recharge the battery, so if I am in a different position, that's why. But basically, getting back on topic, defensively and offensively, we know Dejante Murray is a fantastic defender, but his playmaking on the defensive end of the floor actually leads to some playmaking on the offensive end of the floor and just in general for the Spurs, because I will talk about the Spurs in a little bit as well, just as a whole. Not too much, it's more about Murray, but I will talk about them. But he's playmaking defensively. He's averaging 2.2 steals a game. He's getting in the passing lanes. He's doing it at a better rate than he ever has before, which is for someone that has always been fantastic at it. And the Spurs are really getting out in transition. I was watching them, and I thought they were a good transition team, and the numbers back it up. Actually, looking at the numbers, Dejante Murray is one of the best transition players in the NBA right now in terms of efficiency out in transition. He's making plays for his teammates, whether it's finding an open shooter in transition, a Lonnie Walker or a Derek White, or it's just going straight to the rim. He's doing that really well so far. So that's been impressive as well. The fact that he's tying in that defense and that offense, because that's where he's going to have to separate himself. When you're looking at the best young players, although he's 25, he's a little bit older than some of the younger players. When you're looking at the best young point guards in the league, he doesn't have the offensive talent of a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or a Ja Morant or, say, a Luka Doncic, a Trae Young. I don't think he's got that in him. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. That's fine if I am. But the way he can bridge the gap between those guys and maybe put himself in a similar category is the fact that he can be an elite defender, which he's been to start the season, and he's been for most of his career. He's versatile, he gets in the passing lanes, he gets out in transition, and then now that he's starting to put up damn near a triple-double a game, and now 20 points a game, close to, all of a sudden, he's got a very well-rounded game, and that's where the Spurs might have a star on their hands. Just in terms of what he's been able to do defensively, I talked about getting in the passing lanes, but he's just an intelligent defender as well. There was one situation against the Bucks. The Bucks game was, if you want to see everything that Dejante Murray has to offer, it was a perfect example because he closed the game late, hit a couple of buckets in Giannis's face. Yes, Giannis was on 5 fouls, but who cares? He still pulled up on him a couple of times and got to the rim, so he showed off that ability. He also got a couple of steals. He got out in transition. He made some plays. He did pretty much the whole package. He had it all in that game. And also one play in particular that was impressive and showed off his defensive prowess, should I say, was he was posted up against Giannis. Giannis had the advantage, obviously. It's Giannis. But instead of trying to wait for Giannis to get the ball and then just hope, because that's kind of all you can do when Giannis gets the ball, he was proactive. He stayed close to Giannis and then got his length in there and reached and slapped it away and got a steal. So you can do those kind of things. Some players don't do that. They just kind of body up and then hope for the best. Look, my camera's messed up again, so screw it. We'll just do the last bit of the video without it. Getting back on topic, Murray as a defender, he's intelligent, he's getting in the passing lanes, he's doing all of that, and the Spurs as a whole have been impressive in transition. I believe the Spurs have kind of been overlooked as a team. They're not going to be a playoff team, in my opinion. I don't see that happening, but they're going to be competitive. They've been competitive in games. People laughed when the Lakers nearly lost to them. Oh, it's the Spurs. How do you not beat them? They then beat the Bucks. Yeah, the Bucks might have had a couple of players missing, but they still had Giannis. They still had Middleton. They still had a decent enough team that the Spurs were able to close out that game. That was impressive. They've been competitive so far, and then in the one game they played against a team that was supposed to be at their level, supposed to be, air quotations because you can't see me, Orlando, they blew them out. So the Spurs look like a team that is going to be competitive again, similar to last year. They've got a young core, so it's not like it's a bad thing if they do win enough games to make the play-in or something of that nature, but at the same time, if they don't, then they lose, and then they get a high draft pick as well. So it's really a win-win situation. I like what San Antonio are doing. You've got some veterans as well, Thaddeus Young. Don't believe there's anything wrong with having a guy like him or a Doug McDermott, guys of this nature. They're still important to have in the locker room, but if you can have your offense centered around Dejante Murray, which it has been so far, and he's been able to close out some games as well, which has been impressive. Against the Bucks, he closed out that game. I mentioned it, but hit a couple of shots in a row on Giannis. If his shot can be consistent, that's the big question. No one knows the answer to it, but if Dejante Murray can shoot 35% from 3 consistently, well then, who knows how good he can be. I also believe he's got a little bit more room to improve getting to the rim because his athleticism, his length, his quickness, his passing ability, his shooting ability, there's no reason that he shouldn't be getting to the rim a lot better than he does because sometimes he just stops a little bit short. He doesn't quite attack enough. If he could average a couple more free throws a game, he could easily be up at that 21 to 22 points a game, and then all of a sudden, 21 points a game, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, doing it at the turnover ratio he is, well, you might have a star on your hands, particularly when he does the defensive end of the floor really damn well as well. So Dejante Murray has been really impressive to start the season. I don't know if anyone's really talking about it. I don't know if anyone's talking about the Spurs in general, which is why I thought, why not? Why not shed some love on the Spurs? Why not shed some light, should I say? I don't know what I'm saying at this point in time. Anyways, have a nice day. I'll catch you next time. Bye. Ooh-wee.